we found a weapon, we wouldn't touch it. We wouldn't touch it at all. Call firearms in, they're the experts, they'll clear the weapon, and then we'll deal with seizing it from there.
Before they can seize any weapon, though, they've got to find it. And PC Critchfield knows that won't be an easy task. This small holding is a labyrinth of buildings and vehicles, including 2 caravans, an outhouse, a stable block, kennels, 2 greenhouses and a large wooded area. It's an ideal place to hide something. It's going to be a long day, and the team has no idea what kind of reception they'll get when they arrive.
Section 46 of firearms Act, we've got a warrant to search these premises and the surrounding premises. What I'm going to do is leave with my colleagues here, and Sergeant will start the search, okay?
Luckily, there's no resistance from anyone on the site, and so the team quickly gets to work. The first task is to create an area where the residents can be held while the search is carried out.
What I want to do is search that area there, which has got hardly anything in it, and then there's a safe area for these guys to sit in.
As well as making sure the area doesn't contain the gun they're looking for, they also need to make sure there's nothing that could harm their officers. The first find isn't a gun, but it is a weapon, and a rather nasty one.
Things like this, which you find, which we obviously don't want them to have access to.
And their next discovery is even more serious. Behind a coat, there's a rifle leant against the wall.
OK, right, well in that case it's not appropriate for them to sit in there.
This area now needs to be sealed off. The search team can't take any chances, so they call in experts from the Tactical Firearms Unit.
Could we request a Hotel Foxtrot unit, please, to come and clear a weapon that's been located?
Now PC Critchfield moves on to search one of the caravans on site and quickly finds more evidence of gun use.
That's a bullet, but Mike's found a balaclava that we'll probably take. Sometimes you go places and people have these as ornaments or paperweights, so, you know, you never know, but obviously the balaclava and certain things, and it depends what else we find.
The main focus of the search, though, remains an illegal gun, and the firearms team arrives to look at the rifle found earlier.
In the corner, no one's touched it yet.
They quickly identify it as an air weapon. It's not what they came for, but it is still illegal for some people to hold one.
If previously a person has been convicted of an offence and has been sentenced to 5 years or more in prison, it then becomes illegal for you to possess an air weapon. So at the moment we're seizing all of the air weapons.
Back at base, they'll check if the weapon's owner has a criminal record. Meanwhile, the search has spread throughout the site and more weaponry has been found.
Basically, it's an arrowhead. It's quite sharp as well, so it's relevant. It's a piece of weaponry, so I'm going to seize it.
These are made for hunting and are not in themselves illegal. But the next find is more worrying.
The side of the greenhouse here was an old milk churn, which appeared to be full of scrap metal, and my colleague has emptied it out, and there's a large quantity of spent cartridges, spent bullets inside there. And on sifting through those, we've actually found one actual live round, which is quite a small calibre. I'd probably imagine a .22 bullet. It's evidence that there are firearms being used in and around the premises here.
As none of the residents holds a firearms licence, the cartridges certainly raise questions. The search is now on for a weapon that could have fired them. The team reaches for some specialist kit.
This is MD2000, it's a metal detector for finding landmines. We're going back over to plot 1, which is next to where the chickens are and stuff. Apparently there's a whole load of bales of hay as well, and then there's some sacks of feed for the animals to the other side.
The search site is large and diverse, but every possible hiding place has to be searched. In the caravan, PC Critchfield is using an endoscope camera known as a snake eye.
In the caravan we've got a void here that I can't actually see nor peer across. But if I use a snake eye, it gives me a good picture, it's got a good light on, and I can just check that no one has put anything up there or hidden it up there. Looks all clear at the moment.
After 4 hours of intense searching, there's still no sign of a gun, and the buildings have all been declared clear. But as they begin to search the vehicles, PC Pierce opens a glove box and turns up some ammunition that backs up the intelligence about a gun being on the premises.
In the glove box of this vehicle we've got a number of spent cartridges and quite a few other rounds there. They look like quite high velocity rounds, and I would guess you'd have to have a firearms licence to be in possession of this sort of cartridge. So these will get seized.
It's been a busy day for the Specialist Search Unit. Across the site, they've seized a machete, a flick knife, arrowheads, an air rifle, 2 crossbows, and a lot of bullets. They may not have found the gun they were looking for, but a haul of weaponry like this still needs investigating.
Some of the articles that we seized today in their own right aren't illegal to have possession of, but we will also then look at the wider issues of criminality involving those type of items and actually look at the history of crime that we've had in this area to see if there's anything that can be matched back to any of the items that we've seized.
As a result of the raid, a person was cautioned for possessing the high-powered air rifle. In Lincoln, Operation Wrangle begins to get results as a suspected drug dealer's home gives up its secrets.
It's a clear bag containing white powder.
In Lincoln, Sergeant Richard Marriott and an ops support team have raided the home of a suspected drug dealer. 2 hours in, they've already found a large amount of cash, and the target's been taken to a nearby police station because they suspect he's hidden drugs internally.
It's white, it's something white. Okay, you pull it out for me, or you're going to go in, you're going to have to go to hospital for the doctor to take it out.
Sergeant Marriott has found the man's CCTV all set up to monitor the approach to his house and give him plenty of warning of police raids.
CCTV can be purchased very, very cheaply now. It's not something like it used to be where it's really expensive.
Sergeant Richard Marriott is a police search advisor. He was a builder before he joined the police.
And it just gives them, it's like us, time's essential to us, it just gives them an extra few seconds warning, and when they see us coming, we will seize all the CCTV cameras as evidence of the spy, and also to sort of deprive them of that resource.
Having foiled the CCTV by coming in the back, Sergeant Marriott and the OSU will seize the cameras and screens. As officers begin a fingertip search, it promises to be a long day ahead.
It can take anything up to 4 or 5 hours because it's a systematic search and you've got to do everything. Even as far as like shampoo bottles, you've got to see the contents of that. But yeah, it can take quite a long time.
To help, the team calls in specialist drugs dog Ben. He's a vital tool, but every area still needs to be manually searched, so the team splits into pairs. It's painstaking work and not without hazards.
We know it's a drug user's property, so there could be needles anywhere really. Obviously that's the main thing, health and safety for us.
Even the ashes in the grate are sifted, but the next find is just lying on the mantelpiece.
It's a clear bag containing white powder, the amphet, and some other substance.
It's a good find for PC Crab, but there are other items that might provide vital evidence against this man.
Most drug dealers will use mobile phones to communicate to people that come buy their commodities, and also documentation, whether it be lists of people that owe them money, what they call the dealers' lists. They'll often take stuff on tick, so they'll have a list, comprehensive list of who owes them money for what.
There are a lot of rooms to search, and the team can't let their concentration lapse.
found this blue clear bag here, which contains green leafy vegetable matter. It smells and certainly looks like cannabis bush.
There's also more evidence of dealing as well as using drugs.
2 sets of electronic scales there, another set there.
These officers are trained to overlook nothing. Even a plastic carrier in the guttering is investigated.
There's a bag that's resting on the guttering that could, from what we're looking for, well have been thrown out the window.
And every space in the house is checked.
It's a fairly typical loft with Christmas decorations and the usual stuff.
The bag outside doesn't contain drugs.
Maybe from the dog, maybe not.
But it still needed checking out. Sergeant Marriott has heard from HQ where the main suspect is being held.
The update from our custody is that the male was going to be taken off to hospital. When he found he was going to be going to hospital, he then decided to produce what he'd secreted up his rectum. We've got back a quantity of heroin. Obviously it needs to be weighed, but it's between a quarter and a half ounce of what we believe to be heroin. So that's now been produced and he'll now be interviewed by our CID team.
15 grams of heroin can fetch £600 when sold on to users. With all the other fines and the £2,500 in cash seized, the team has recovered enough evidence to try and make sure this man faces charges for drug dealing.
He's going to be interviewed on the matter of possession with intent to supply those controlled substances and under the Proceeds of Crime Act, because at the moment he's got no explanation for where the cash has come from, and we believe it's proceeds of his drug dealing.
Ops support has needed all their skills during Operation Wrangle. From tactical planning and forced entry to a long, detailed search. And it's been a successful day.
What we wanted from this job was to actually get something back today and not just sort of come in and go away empty-handed. So for us it is a good result. We've been here 10 hours, there's a lot of work gone into it, but fortunately we've got something back.
In Cumbria, Ops Support is on duty for Carlisle's home game against Premier League heavyweights Newcastle United. It's a pre-season friendly, but in the past it's been the cue for trouble between rival fans.
In 2007, Newcastle played Carlisle in a friendly game.
Chief Inspector Justin Bibby has been a police officer since 1992 and is trained in firearms and public order.
And unfortunately it was marred with quite a lot of disorder in the city centre. And we had some quite ugly scenes. And my intention is that will not happen today. If there are any people out there that want to engage in that, then we're going to be there to and take some real positive action against it.
The violence that day centred on a pub in the town centre. Rival fans clashed inside and outside the premises. As a result, 10 Newcastle fans were given banning orders stopping them travelling to football matches anywhere in Britain. Last year, more than 3,000 people were arrested at football matches in England and Wales. The OSU is on the front line when it comes to dealing with the hooligans. They have to keep the lid on volatile situations while making sure that any troublemakers don't spoil the game for the genuine fans. Today, Chief Inspector Bibby and his officers have a very clear plan to prevent trouble. Phase 1 starts at Carlisle train station, where the majority of Newcastle fans will arrive. From here they'll be escorted to designated pubs nearby to avoid potential clashes with home fans. Phase 2 focuses on getting the Newcastle fans from the town centre to the ground. It's only a few hundred metres along Warwick Road, but there are lots of side roads from where Carlisle hooligans have launched ambushes in the past. At the station, the first football special train